All right. Everybody say hi to Tina Haapala. Tina Haapala. Where'd you go with that last name?
Where did I come
Is that made up?
No, it's not made up. Okay. My last name is Finnish.
Finnish. It's not Hawaiian?
It's my original name, so
You would know.
I'm not Hawaiian. But I think originally it was something like Hapamaki, which sounds even more Hawaiian, but it's Finnish and it's actually a pretty popular name in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, where I was born.
So what drew me to want to bring Tina on the show is she has a blog that is titled, hang on, let me get this right. How long have you been married?
4 years.
This is more disconcerting to me because I thought you were having married, a short period of time.
I still consider us newlyweds. A Little Bit Married it's kind of a play on words by the way we are married. In Texas, there is something called informal marriage, and we are informally married. And what that means is you go down to the courthouse, you go to the city clerk, and you say, we have been living as husband and wife. So it's kind of like
common law. Is this what we call common law?
If you look at the blog, Little Bit Married, it is a little bit about my phobia I had about the idea of marriage. Because that
Where did that go from?
Probably, well, we don't want to get on the couch here.
I kind of
but
do.
it may come from the fact that my parents were divorced when I was 7, after my mom already had 5 kids. And
I'm assuming you're toward the younger end of those 5 kids.
I'm the oldest.
You what? Hang on.
Yes, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. My mom was divorced by the time she was 24. You guys can do the math.
I almost can't do that math.
My mom was 16 when she had me, then 20 when she had my sister, and then they decided, oh, let's try for a boy. Then they had twins, and then 11 months later, one more to...
Wow. So yeah.
And then they got divorced, because that was crazy.
Okay, so you came into marriage.
I didn't really see what the benefits would be, except for...
Well, it's not sex.
Well, that's what you hear. You hear, well, as soon as you get married, the sex goes. You're at each other's throat. You're fighting all the time. I will be editing that out. This never happened.
So you're writing on this blog about marriage. What's the outlet for? What are you writing about?
Well, I'm writing a little bit about the phobia. I am writing a little bit about some of the reasons that I was maybe not so much anti-marriage as it went along, but anti-wedding. I was a bridesmaid. Oh man, that was awful.
Well, that whole thing. You're married. Who else is married here? Been married. The wedding is the least. I mean, here's my opinion. If you think the wedding is a bigger deal than the day after the wedding, and all the other days after the wedding, you're already going in the wrong direction, in my opinion. That's just a party. It's a great party, and certainly a bigger party than other parties you're going to have. But people who tilt the significance of that date above anything else that's ever going to happen during their marriage, I get that. I've never identified with the significance and the over preoccupation with the wedding itself.
It's such a huge deal, and during my day job, I work in marketing for a financial planner. And so with that, I always have the idea of that's a big chunk of change to be putting towards something that lasts one day, and then you have a dress that you can never wear again. And so
you're kind of a pragmatist, and the whole thing kind of grinds against.
Yeah, well, but what's funny and kind of ironic is I love other people's weddings. I'll cry.
Well, you're not. Oh, yeah. Someone else's wedding is a completely different thing. Yeah, that's like I used to think I wanted to work in a nice hotel. Turns out I just want to stay in one. I've done both. I've stayed in nice hotels and I've worked in nice hotels. Not remotely comparable experiences.
One of the other things I thought was interesting about this certificate of marriage and going into this legal agreement is...
It's like an associate's degree. I'm sort of giving a community college vibe out out of your marriage, licensure. Well, if I go about 2 more years, I could actually get
It'll actually be real.
get a BA.
Well,
in
that's the
marriage.
thing. If you decide to go your separate ways, you go your separate ways, and if you stay apart for 2 years, if you both agree not to contest it, you
It
can
just dissolves, it's self-dissolving.
Self-dissolving. And
What's all this about? What other writing are you doing here? This apparently is your brag pile.
Sure. The blog is out there on the internet. I have 2 blogs. I have excuseeditor.com
Yeah.
and littlebitmarried.com I'm working on now. And these are some anthologies that my short personal essays have been in. 4 different Chicken Soup for the Souls.
That's really cool.
And then this is an anthology called My First Year in the Classroom, which I thought was funny. You were talking about teaching. I had an interesting experience while I was substitute teaching here in town that the kids got me. And
They got you?
They got me, but I got a publishing credit out of it. So.
What did they do to you?
Well, basically, they got my attention over here while my seat was over here, and they got some ketchup in my seat. And I was wandering around the whole
What grade
place.
was this?
They were 6th.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Not even human at that age.
And the rest of the school was doing tests, so they couldn't leave the room. Like they were stranded in that room all day, so I kind of
That's not
understand.
stranded, that's imprisoned.
Yeah, in prison they were, and I didn't really know what to do. It was like my 3rd time I was substitute teaching.
And you sat in ketchup?
I sat in the kitchen.
Oh.
I did, but the thing was,
I would kill
I
the
knew
12-year-old.
something was going on, and I'm wandering around going, I smell something. Where is it? Where is it? And they're just laughing.
So what subjects are you writing about this? I mean, is it just by the cover teens, talk about middle school? What was this your...
This was a
That
story.
was your ketchup story, right?
This was, yes, this is ketchup.
One word. Get 10.
Sad.
Sad? Oh, what's sad?
Sad. When I was in middle school, I was friends with 3 boys, and one was in 6th, 7th, and 8th, and one of the boys got hit by a truck when he was riding his bike.
And did he die?
No, he didn't die right away.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't know until after this was published that he had passed away like 10 years after it happened, because I lost contact with him. And the
How traumatic at that age? That's just a huge
it
thing.
was, it was traumatic and it's sad and everything, but one of the women in the book, or in the story, who was there that night, she had just broken up with, with this little boy, he was in 7th grade, romance, whatever. But she had run up, she had run up to him, guitar pick. She had run up to him and put her hand, close to him in the blood and everything. She wiped her hand across, and she had that shirt for a long time. And she really saw how they were working and everything. And she's a doctor and PhD now, and
it had an impact.
And I think that's part of one of the reasons, because as he went through his recovery and things, we would go to the hospital, and that's what the story is about.
Well, I think more than people realize, what we end up doing as adults is much more closely linked to events from our childhood or interests from our childhood than we think. Most people who end up doing something they enjoy, there's a direct link, maybe not to what they were doing in their 40s, 30s, 20s, whatever, but something they really enjoyed doing as a kid, or they were first drawn to it as a kid. I hear it all the time.
I think that's really true, because I was interested in writing when I was a kid. But as I got older and went to college and everything like that, it's like, no, I have to do something that makes money. So...
Now, were other people telling you that?
There was an idea of that, and I really didn't have a role model for that kind of thing, because I was the first person in my family to go to college. And I talked a little bit about that in the Teens Talk Getting Into College. But,
check.
I didn't really have a role model for that, and I was just kind of winging it. I'm like, I should go to college. This is what people say. And when I started college, my mom, a single mom of 5, she decided to go to college at the same time. So we had English 101 together, which was very interesting. But I'd always wanted to do it, and I always thought, well, I need to learn more of the writing. I needed to learn more, everything like that. And so these were the first two I drew on those experiences from when I was.
So when did you start writing, like for real? Because I went through a phase where I was writing, and then it took a long time before I called myself a writer.
I am just now calling myself a writer, but no, about 2008.
Okay, so
when I started.
So you've obviously been pretty productive.
I have
You don't
kind
suck
of.
at it.
I need to get a little bit more into it, and that's why I'm starting with the blog again, and eventually hope to turn that into possibly.
Well, that's really cool. Well, we're going to now segue. We have our super happy fun time lunchbox. It's full of questions. Is it literally a buffet of questions? Richie, how many questions?
14.
Oh, that's a lot. 7, half that. Okay. Reach in here and just, normally, see, you have to understand, you really get to pass on this. We blindfold the person, spin them around in the chair, and then they draw 7 questions out. But that's really an awful thing, and it's boring. So, grab a, screw him, 4. So, and I do have the authority to say that question sucks and make you draw another. I will reserve that right. So, read the first question, and then you answer it.
Oh, I answer it.
Yeah, I'm not. What, I haven't said enough already?
Okay, the first one we get is, what was your worst job?
Yeah.
I think I've almost answered that. Actually, no.
The substitute teaching was your worst job? Well, I guess we need ketchup in your ass. It's in the running right away.
No, I actually think I worked in retail, and that was tough.
That's a bad deal.
I worked in retail, and I worked at a fast food place, which wasn't that bad, but I kind of wish I would have had something else to start out with.
Well, you have like a 7-way tie for first place. Next question. By the way, you get a D for that answer.
Oh, great. If you were to lose one of your senses, what would that be and why?
If you could choose. Yeah. Which one could you live without?
I guess if you lose smell, you lose taste too, huh?
It's your question answer, not mine.
If I would lose taste, I would choose smell, because being blind would be tough for me, because I'm a writer and I really love music, so the
smell.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I like to eat, so that's what I.
Yeah, I'll give you a C- on that one.
Yeah,
although I guess you're always limited to 1 of 5 answers, right? My sense of humor.
Can you drive a stick shift? I hope so, because that's how I got here.
Hey! You win an A for accuracy. Next question, and your final question.
Who was your favorite elementary, junior high, high school teacher, and why? Okay, I have really my favorite. She wasn't my teacher, but she was probably my favorite teacher because she was my big sister. I was involved in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. It's when I met Ann, I was 7, and she was a middle school teacher.
So your parents are going through divorce?
Yeah. Actually, they had already gotten divorced, and my mom...
I'm paying attention.
My mom knew that I need somebody else, and she heard about this program and got me involved in it, and I am still in contact with Ann to this day, so it's been over 30 years.
You really beat the odds on that. That's remarkable.
Yeah, and she was a big impact on my life, definitely, because she was the one who was like, well, of course you're going to college. Because that was the way she grew up. Her parents, her dad was a judge, and, so she was just like, well, of course, what else are you going to do? And I was like, well, and I just kind of gravitated toward that.
All right, so because people are stupid, we only want to give one takeaway thing. What are we going to guide people to find out about you?
Facebook page, Tina Haapala, writer.
It was a fun interview. A round of applause for Tina.